Arin always believed that stories had a pulse of their own. He used to say that if you listened closely, you could feel a tale breathing even before the first sentence took form. Maybe that's why he found himself awake before dawn on the day everything changed, sitting by the cracked window of his small apartment and watching the sky lighten over the quiet town of Halewick. He wasn't expecting anything unusual. He wasn't expecting danger or destiny or the strange path that would soon pull him far beyond the edges of the world he knew. All he wanted that morning was a cup of tea and a few quiet minutes to jot down notes for the travel video he had promised his viewers. He kept a small online channel that wasn't big by any means, but had a warm audience who cared about his stories and his calm, almost soothing way of explaining the places he visited. Arin wasn't flashy or energetic. He didn't need to be. His charm came from the sincerity in his voice, the thoughtful way he described people and landscapes, and his gentle habit of thanking anyone who left a comment or shared his videos. He didn't usually ask people to like or subscribe. Sometimes his friends teased him about it. "You're too shy," they'd say. "Just tell them. They want to support you." But Arin never forced it. He waited for the right moments, the moments where it felt like part of the story instead of a sales pitch. He didn't know it yet, but he was about to live a story that would change his channel forever. He stood, stretched, and walked to the kitchen. The kettle hissed faint steam as he filled it. His cat, Mira, leaped onto the counter and stared at him with the intense judgment only cats possessed. "You woke up early too," Arin said. Mira blinked slowly, as if to say she had better reasons. He scratched her chin and turned on the stove. The room warmed with the soft glow of the flame. Halewick was small, tucked between forest and coast, the kind of place where people nodded at each other out of habit. Arin had lived there his whole life, and as much as he liked to travel, he always came back. The familiar rhythm of the town kept him grounded. When the kettle whistled, he poured his tea and sat back at his window with his notebook. He wrote a few lines that felt half asleep, crossed them out, wrote them again, then paused when something in the distance caught his eye. There was movement near the tree line. Not the usual sway of branches, nor the early morning sprint of deer. It was a flicker, a pulse of pale blue light that softened, strengthened, and then vanished. At first he thought it was a reflection off a car windshield or a trick of the rising sun. But then it came again, this time brighter, steady for a moment before fading. Arin leaned forward. Halewick didn't have much in the way of strange lights. The forest was thick and old. People respected it, but no myths or mysteries clung to it the way they did in other towns. The oddness of the glow unsettled him, yet pulled him in. He grabbed his coat, tucked his notebook under his arm, and whistled for Mira to stay inside. She ignored him as usual. "I'll be back soon," he said, as if she were listening. Outside, the air carried a crisp chill. The sun was still rising, its early rays brushing the rooftops in orange. Arin walked the narrow path toward the woods, feeling a mix of curiosity and caution. Maybe he could use whatever he found here as part of a new video. Strange lights often drew attention. His viewers loved unexpected discoveries. They often encouraged him to follow such instincts, and he smiled a little, thinking how they might react if he actually found something unusual this time. The forest greeted him with the earthy smell of damp leaves. Birds called softly in the higher branches. The light he had seen was nowhere in sight, but he kept walking, pushing past ferns and thin branches. He reached a small clearing he didn't remember from childhood hikes. And there, in the center, lay something impossible. It was a stone. Or it looked like a stone at first glance, smooth and oval about the size of a watermelon. But it wasn't gray or brown or any natural color. It had a surface like frosted glass, glowing faintly from within with the same blue hue he had seen earlier. The light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Arin approached carefully. Every instinct told him this was not meant to be here. Stones didn't glow or breathe. He reached out halfway, then pulled back. Touching it felt wrong, yet he couldn't look away. A soft sound rustled behind him. He turned. A woman stood at the edge of the clearing. She was tall and alert, wearing dark clothes that looked more suited for travel in rugged lands than morning walks in quiet towns. Her black hair was tied loosely behind her head. Her eyes, sharp, watchful, locked onto the glowing stone before flicking up toward him. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Arin stiffened. Sorry, I live near the edge of the forest. I saw the light." "Of course you did." Her tone softened a little. "But this isn't something you should touch." "I wasn't going to," he said quickly, though she didn't look convinced. She walked past him with the grace of someone who had spent their life moving through dangerous places. She knelt beside the stone with a seriousness that made Arin feel even more out of place. "What is it?" he asked. She glanced at him again, as if weighing how much to reveal. "Something old," she said, "and something that shouldn't be in your world." He frowned. "My world?" "Halewick," she said. "This realm. This place where people drink tea at sunrise and worry about ordinary things." He stared at her. "Is this a joke?" She touched the stone lightly. It brightened, then dimmed, then brightened again. Her expression tightened. "I don't have time to explain. I need to get it out before others find it." "Others?" Before she could answer, another sound echoed from deeper in the forest. Not footsteps. Something heavier. Something that didn't belong. The woman's posture changed instantly. She grabbed the stone and wrapped it in a dark cloth. "Follow me," she said. "What? Why me?" "Because if they saw the light from afar, they'll see you standing next to it, and because you already know too much." Arin hesitated. She stood firmly, her gaze fierce enough to push him forward. He followed. They weaved through the woods, moving quickly. Arin's heart thumped. This was ridiculous. This was the kind of adventure that happened in movies, not in Halewick. And yet here he was, following a stranger who carried a glowing stone and spoke as if danger was closing in. They reached a ridge overlooking the river. The woman stopped and listened. The forest behind them felt too still. "What's your name?" Arin whispered. "Lira," she said quietly. "And you?" "Arin." "Arin, listen closely. If we get separated, don't try to be brave. Run back to the town. Hide. Forget you saw anything." "That's not very comforting." "I'd rather be truthful." He almost appreciated her bluntness. Almost. The forest erupted behind them. Trees snapped, birds burst upward in frantic flight. A creature moved through the shadows, large, fast, and unmistakably hunting. Lira cursed under her breath and grabbed Arin's wrist. "Run!" They sprinted along the ridge. Arin stumbled over roots, breath burning in his chest. The creature moved with terrifying speed. He caught glimpses of it through the branches. Dark fur, long limbs, glowing eyes that looked far too intelligent. "What is that?" he gasped. "A tracker. It's drawn by the stone." "Fantastic," Arin muttered, though panic twisted his gut. They reached a slope that dropped steeply toward the river. Lira didn't slow. She jumped, landing on the incline and sliding down. Arin didn't think. He followed, tumbling and sliding until he crashed near the bottom. Lira pulled him up. "Keep moving." They sprinted across the rocky bank. The sound of the monster above them made Arin's skin crawl. Lira threw a glance back. "It's gaining." "Any suggestions?" "Don't stop." They reached a fallen log bridging the narrowest part of the river. Water roared below. Arin froze for a moment. Lira pushed him forward. "Go!" He stepped onto the log. His legs shook. Halfway across, he heard the creature leap behind them. The log trembled. "Don't look back," Lira said, which of course made him look. The creature stood at their end of the log, tall, lean, eyes glowing like molten gold. Its teeth were sharp, its expression almost human in its hunger. It growled, low and deliberate, as if savoring the fear rolling off him. Arin swallowed hard and kept moving. Lira reached the other side and held out a hand. He took it, stumbling onto the far bank. She quickly grabbed a heavy branch and struck the log. It cracked, weakened by age and their weight. The creature took another step and the wood snapped. It fell into the rushing river with a snarl swallowed by the roar. Arin dropped to the ground, shaking. Lira didn't sit. She scanned the tree line, tense. It'll be back. The river won't hold it long. Back? That thing swims? It doesn't need to, it climbs. Wonderful. Lira turned to him. We need to get somewhere safe. I know a place, Arin said breathlessly. My friend Rowan has a cabin deeper in the forest. It's small but sturdy, and he's out of town. We can use it. Lira nodded. Lead the way. As they moved, Arin's thoughts raced. He tried to make sense of the glowing stone, the creature, the woman who seemed far too familiar with both. He also wondered how on earth he would explain this to his viewers if he ever talked about it. People liked exciting stories, but this was the kind that made someone sound unhinged. Still, he imagined saying something like, "If you're still watching at this point, don't forget to share your thoughts below." The idea almost made him laugh despite the fear clawing inside him. They reached Rowan's cabin about 20 minutes later. Arin unlocked the door, and they slipped inside. Lira closed all the shutters and set the wrapped stone on the table. It glowed faintly, the light seeping through the fabric. Arin leaned against the wall, catching his breath. "All right, now can you tell me what's going on?" Lira studied him for a long moment. "You're calmer than most people would be." "I'm not calm," he said. "I'm panicking in a very quiet and organized way." That earned a faint smile. She sat opposite him. "The stone is not from your world. It's a vessel, a kind of relic from a realm parallel to this one. You're saying there are other worlds?" "Yes." "And things like that creature come from them?" "Yes." He rubbed his face. "This is a lot." "It gets worse," she said. "The stone was never meant to appear here. Someone brought it through a breach. Someone dangerous. I was tracking it when it slipped from their grasp. If they find it again, they'll use it to reopen a passage." "And that's bad." "Very." He nodded slowly. "So what exactly does this stone do?" Before she could answer, a loud thud hit the side of the cabin. They froze. Another thud. Then claws scraped against the wooden wall. "It found us," Lira whispered. Arin's stomach dropped, and the night outside suddenly felt far too close. The sound of claws scraping against the wall cut through the air like metal dragged across stone. Arin felt a cold knot tighten in his chest. Lira moved quickly, silently, already reaching for a thin blade strapped to her boot. She motioned for him to stay low. He didn't argue. The creature circled the cabin in slow, heavy steps. Every shift of weight, every rasp of breath felt deliberate, like it was studying the shape of the building and deciding where to strike. Lira edged toward the shuttered window and peered through a sliver in the wood. "It's worse than before," she whispered. "The river didn't slow it. If anything, it made it angrier." "I can tell," Arin said, barely breathing. "I can feel the anger from here." The creature slammed against the wall again, harder this time. Dust rained from the rafters. The cabin was sturdy, but not built to withstand repeated hits from something with that much muscle. Lira tightened her grip on the blade. "We can't stay in here," she said. "It'll break through." "That's the opposite of comforting." "I prefer honesty." "I've noticed." The stone on the table glowed brighter, reacting to the creature's presence. The pulse sped up until the light looked frantic, almost alarmed. Arin felt an odd tug inside him, as if the stone were calling out, not just to the creature, but to him as well. "What if we give it what it wants?" Arin said suddenly. Lira's head whipped toward him. "No." "But this relic can tear open a breach between worlds. If the wrong hands get it, your realm won't survive it. Entire places can be swallowed. The creature isn't the real threat. It's only a tool." Arin swallowed. "Right, so that's a no." The creature roared, a sharp, guttural sound that made the windows tremble. Lira moved to the front door. "We have to run," she said. "Out there, with that thing waiting?" "Yes, and we need to draw it away from town." He wanted to object. He really did, but the shaking walls told him she was right. Staying meant getting crushed. Lira grabbed the relic, wrapping it tighter in the dark cloth. "It won't stop hunting as long as I have this, so you'll stay close to me." He nodded. His hands shook, but he nodded anyway. Lira cracked the door open, listening for an opening. The creature was still moving along the left side of the cabin, its shadow sweeping past the window. "Now," she whispered. They sprinted into the trees. Cold night air slapped Arin's face. Roots and twigs cracked under their shoes. The forest felt different now, narrower, darker, like it held its breath as they passed. The creature spotted them immediately. Branches snapped as it lunged. Arin didn't dare look back. Lira pulled ahead, carving a path through the ferns. He followed her footsteps and focused on not falling. They broke through a line of trees and reached an incline, much steeper than the one they had slid down earlier. Below it lay mist, swirling over the ground like pale smoke. Arin stared. "What is this place?" "A hollow," Lira said. "Sometimes pockets like this appear when realms shift. Don't think about it. Go." They descended into the mist. The world turned gray, sound muffled as if someone had stuffed cotton in Arin's ears. He felt weightless for a moment, then grounded again. Lira slowed. "Good. It won't follow us inside." Arin bent over, hands on knees. "Why?" "This hollow is a neutral place," she said. "Creatures like that tracker can sense their own danger here. It won't risk stepping in. So we're safe? For now." Arin let the relief sink in. His body trembled with the adrenaline he'd been holding back. Lira placed the relic on a patch of moss. The blue glow faded a little. He's no longer frantic, but still alive. "What happens now?" Arin asked. "We wait," she said. "There's someone I sent a message to before I met you. If he's close, he'll find us." Arin sat beside her. The hollow was strangely peaceful. Fireflies drifted in and out of the mist, their lights blinking softly, almost rhythmically. He realized how exhausted he was, yet curiosity kept him awake. "So," he said, trying to steady his voice, "are you some kind of guardian?" Lira softened a little. "Not exactly. I'm what my people call a seeker. We track relics that escape into other worlds. We retrieve them. We keep the balance." "That sounds lonely." "It is." He didn't know what to say to that. For a moment he just listened to the quiet. Then he remembered something. "Earlier you said the stone wasn't supposed to be here, but you also said someone brought it on purpose." Lira nodded. "A man named Varos. Once a seeker like me, but his loyalty faded. He wants power, dominion. He believes your world is weak enough to take. And the relic is his way in." "Yes." Arin leaned back against the roots of a wide tree. "Why Halewick? Why here?" "Because the fabric between realms is thinner in forests like this," she said. "Old places, untouched places. If someone wants to force a breach open, they pick a place where the walls are already soft." He exhaled slowly. "I've lived here my whole life and never felt anything strange. That's the point. The walls hold until they don't." A soft crack of footsteps came from deeper in the mist. Arin tensed. Lira stood, blade ready, eyes narrowed. A figure emerged, tall, wrapped in a dark traveling cloak. He moved easily through the hollow as if he'd walked this path 100 times. Lira relaxed slightly. "Tavian," she said. The man lowered his hood. His eyes glowed faint silver in the low light. Not human eyes. "You brought a local," Tavian noted, studying Arin. "That was unwise." "He saw the relic fall," Lira said, "and the tracker saw him. I couldn't leave him behind." Tavian sighed, not arguing but not pleased either. "Varos is close. I followed his trail. We don't have long." Lira nodded. "Then we move soon, but Arin can't be part of this." Arin felt an unexpected sting. "I didn't ask for any of this, but I'm already part of it." "You don't understand the risk," Tavian said. "I didn't understand trackers or relics or breaches this morning either." Arin said quietly, "Things changed." Lira watched him for a long moment. "He's right." Tavian raised a brow. "You're letting him help?" "He knows the forest," Lira said. "Varos doesn't." Tavian hesitated, then nodded once. "Fine." Arin stood, unsure if he should feel brave or foolish. "What do we do?" he asked. Lira picked up the relic. "We set a trap." The plan unfolded quickly. Tavian would mask their presence with a spell, subtle, woven with faint silver threads of energy. Arin would lead them to the oldest part of the forest, where the land dipped into a stone-ringed hollow that was said to be prehistoric. Lira explained that the relic reacted differently near ancient places where the world's fabric had memories. "If Varos tries to use it there," she said, "it will fight him. It will reveal his weakness." "And then?" Arin asked. "Then we end this." They left the hollow and moved through the sleeping forest. Tavian's spell spread like a breeze, brushing Arin's skin with a cool tingle. As long as they stayed under its veil, trackers would sense nothing. The moon shifted behind the clouds as they moved. Branches twisted overhead in tangled patterns. Arin guided them through narrow paths only locals knew, paths even most locals forgot. Finally, they reached the stone-ringed hollow. Massive boulders encircled an empty center, each carved by time into smooth curves. Moss covered their sides like soft blankets. The air seemed thicker, quieter, charged. Lira placed the relic in the center. Its glow flared, bright, insistent. "He's coming," Tavian whispered. A chill swept the clearing. A figure stepped from the shadows between the stones. Varos. He didn't look monstrous. He didn't snarl or tower. He was calm, composed, with dark hair tied back and clothes similar to Lira's, only sharper, colder, marked with symbols Arin didn't understand. "You've gone too far, Lira," Varos said gently. "Give me the relic." "You lost the right to ask," Lira said. Varos ignored her and looked at Arin. "And you brought a human. How naive." Arin took a shaky breath but didn't back away. Varos stepped forward. "Move, I won't say it again." Lira moved first, fast, blade ready. Tavian followed. Power ripped through the air as Varos raised his hand. Light exploded outward. The ground trembled. The relic pulsed violently, responding to the clash of energies. Lira lunged. Varos countered. Tavian threw a wave of silver light that shattered against Varos's shield. Arin kept low, heart hammering. The stones around the hollow vibrated. A crack formed in the air above the relic, a thin line of shimmering blue. The breach. Varos reached for it. "No!" Lira yelled. Arin didn't think. He rushed forward, grabbed the relic, and held it close. A shockwave blasted through him, forcing a cry from his throat. His vision blurred. Images flashed. Strange worlds, creatures, landscapes he couldn't name. Varos snarled. "You foolish child." The relic reacted to Arin's fear, lighting the clearing with blinding blue fire. Varos shielded his eyes. Tavian seized the moment and hurled a burst of silver energy. Lira struck with her blade. Together, they hit Varos squarely. He staggered. The breach above flickered, then collapsed. "No!" Varos screamed. The ground cracked beneath his feet. Light swallowed him in a sudden burst, then vanished. The clearing fell silent. Arin collapsed to his knees, shaking. Lira raced to him and steadied his shoulders. "Arin," she said softly, "look at me." He lifted his head. His vision steadied. The relic lay dim in his hands, no longer frantic. "You did it," Tavian said, almost surprised. "It responded to you." Arin breathed slowly. "Does that mean something good?" Lira smiled faintly. "It means you're part of its story now, and ours." That shocked him more than the battle. Lira placed a hand lightly on his arm. "You're safe now. Varos is gone. The breach is sealed. The tracker will vanish without him." Arin nodded, relieved. The forest felt peaceful again, as if the trees themselves had been holding their breath until now. As they walked back toward the town, dawn began to break. Warm gold spread across the horizon. Lira looked at the rising light and said, "Your world is stronger than you think. It deserves someone who tells its stories well." Arin smiled tiredly. "I try." "You do more than try," she said. "And people watch because your stories matter. So when you tell this one, tell it with honesty. Tell it with gratitude. Invite the people who hear it to share it, because stories survive only when they're passed on." Arin's smile grew. "I think they'll like that." "And ask them to share their thoughts," Tavian added dryly. People always want to speak after hearing something unbelievable. Arin laughed. You'd be surprised how true that is. They reached the forest edge. The town of Halewick stretched before them, calm and ordinary, unaware of how close it had come to danger. Lira paused. We have to go, she said, but we'll return if the realms shift again. Arin nodded. He didn't want them to leave, but he understood. Take care of your world, Tavian said. Tell its stories, Lira added. And with a shimmer of silver light, they stepped through a thin crack between two trees. The air rippled behind them, then stilled. They were gone. Arin stood alone at the forest's edge as the sun rose higher. When he finally walked back home, Mira greeted him with an annoyed flick of her tail, as if he had simply gone out to buy bread. He sat at his desk, opened his notebook, and began writing the most unbelievable story of his life, one he knew people needed to hear. And as he wrote, he smiled to himself and said softly, as if speaking to future viewers, If you enjoyed this story, feel free to like the video, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. After all, stories grow stronger when people pass them along.